Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Artistic Atom. I'm Fatima and today I'm going to take you to an amazing adventure where we'll be discussing about different lab apparatus. This is the part 2 of our session for lab apparatus. For this particular video, I have referred to Oxford University Press. Now, in this particular session, we are going to consider the following points for each and every apparatus. First one is we will be understanding what is the exact name for that particular apparatus, what it looks like, and the diagram. Lastly, we will be understanding where exactly we are supposed to use it. Let's get started. So this is the first apparatus that we are going to discuss in this particular session. It is called as stand, clamp and boss. So as you can see in this particular diagram, this is how actually a stand looks like. So this is the long metal rod connected to this particular base. And it also has this particular thing which holds the apparatus and it is called as clamp. As you can see, there are screws provided for the adjustment of height and also the width that you want. Even if you wanted to tightly hold the apparatus, you can use this particular adjustment screw. And this, can you see this particular attached thing over here, over this metal rod? This is called as a boss head, which provides you with an adjustment of the height over this particular metal rod. Now, in your exam, you're going to draw it in this way. Make sure to label the diagram exactly below where you have drawn it. Nextly, we will be understanding where exactly we are supposed to use it. As you can see in this particular image, here I have attached two apparatus. This is a round bottom flask and this is the funnel. So in order to hold it properly, I have attached my clamp. Since there is presence of this boss, it allows me to adjust the height. So here I have adjusted it to the higher height and here I have reduced the height. So the exact use of this apparatus is to hold this apparatus safely in place. So when you're using clamp, boss, and stand, you will see that your apparatus is exactly where it is supposed to be. If suppose the apparatus is not screwed properly over the stand, it might fall. So make sure that the apparatus is tightly held together over the stand. Nextly, we are going to discuss about the Bunsen burner. As you can see in this particular image, this is how a Bunsen burner looks like. Now, there are different vocabulary that you should know. This is the base of the Bunsen burner. This is the gas inlet through which the gas enters. The fuel for this particular burner enters. And this one, this circular thing, the cylindrical thing over here is called as a collar. You can actually rotate it. Now here you can see this opening. It is called as the air hole through which the air enters. Now we will be discussing about this particular section in the next slide. This is called as the cylindrical section is called as a barrel or we call it as a chimney. Oh, above this particular chimney you can see here we have the flame where we see there are two parts of this particular flame. If I zoom it, you can see that the flame consists of two parts. This one is called as this inner section is called as the inner core and this outer section is called as the outer core. So remember, inner cone is the inner section of the flame, outer cone is the outer section of the flame. In exam, you're going to draw it in this way and make sure to label the Bunsen burner. Now the next is the clear-cut difference between the different adjustment of the collar. As I told you, the collar can be adjusted in different ways. So if you have completely closed the air hole using the collar, you will see a bright yellow color flame. We call that particular flame as luminous flame, okay? And the temperature of this particular flame is very low. And we also call this particular flame as water reducing flame. Why we call it as reducing flame? Because when the gas is entering, there is no oxygen to carry out the combustion. What is combustion? Combustion is nothing but burning or heating a substance in presence of air. Since there is no presence of air, whatever is the reaction carrying out over here, it is not complete combustion. Hence, you will be able to see the soot produced over the flame. What is soot? That black color ash which is formed over the container when you're heating it above the reducing flame, that is called as a soot. The black color gases which are comes out of this particular flame is called as a soot. Now, when suppose you're keeping that particular air hole slightly open using the collar, that particular flame is called as weakly luminous. As you can see, it is a bit of blue and orangish colored flame. So blue color is very little inside the inner cone. Now this particular flame's temperature increases a bit more than that of the luminous flame, and it is partially reducing. Why? Because there is a little amount of oxygen or the air is entering, which is carrying out the partial combustion over here. Hence, there is presence of soot but not much, so it is a little bit improved than that of the previous luminous flame. Okay, what do I mean by the term improved? In previous flame, I was having presence of huge amount of soot, which was making my apparatus turning black from the bottom, or the coating of the black color thing on the bottom of the containers or the apparatus. So when we open this particular hole a little bit, what happens? The temperature a bit increases. It reduces the soot to some extent, and also it is more improvised flame than that of the earlier one. Now the next is, if you keep the air hole half open. As you can see over here, I have opened the this particular air hole to half. So as you can see, the flame of the color is changed. Now flame is moderately blue. So this flame's temperature is a little more than that of the earlier flame, and we call this flame as what? Hot, and the temperature is approximately 1000 degrees Celsius. Now this in this particular flame there is more amount of air entering compared to the previous ones, hence the combustion is carried out to larger extent, due to which we will not be able to see the soot that is coming out. And it is also called as the almost oxidizing flame. Why? Because there is oxidation which is carried out over here. Now in the next one is when we keep the collar completely open. So hole is completely exposed to the atmosphere. So since it is exposed, the whole amount of air, whatever is possible, enters through this, and the combustion is carried out to complete extent, and we get a clear blue flame, which is called as the oxidizing flame. And this oxidizing flame is very hot. The temperature may reach up to 1500 degrees Celsius. Hope you have understood the difference between the different flames which are produced due to the adjustment of the collar and exposure of the air hole. I hope you have understood it carefully. Nextly, we will be understanding the usage of this particular Bunsen burner. Since Bunsen burner consists of heat or flame, it is used to provide the heat to the apparatus which is present above the Bunsen burner. So it actually heats the content in the beaker or a test tube or whatever apparatus you are using, and you are actually looking for the heat for that particular system. So you're going to use this Bunsen burner. Now, next apparatus that we are going to discuss is called as tripod stand. This is how actually a tripod stand looks like. It is triangular in shape to provide more steadiness over the floors, and so that it should not fall. And as you can see over here, we have three legs. So that's why it is called as what? Tripod. Now, in this particular tripod, this is how you're going to set up or arrange the tripod and different apparatus. So whenever you wanted to use tripod, we use it usually to, rest the apparatus. Like for example, if I have an evaporating dish, I have to keep it. So over the flame, I have to heat it. So I need something below it so that I can rest it over that particular stand. So we use this tripod stand, and below that we keep our burner. Now also below this whole setup, we keep a sheet which is called as heat proof mat, or we call it as what? Asbestos. So it allows us to keep our whole table safe from the heat. Now nextly over this you can see over here, there is net kind of thing, a metal net kind of thing. We call it as what? Gauze. We will study about this gauze in the next sessions. Sorry, in the next upcoming slides. Now in exam, you're going to draw a tripod like this. Okay, this is the two-dimensional representation of a tripod. So don't think that where is the third leg. Because we are representing it in two dimension, this is how we are going to draw it. And make sure to label it exactly below the diagram. Now, are we supposed to use this particular tripod stand for sitting? No. If it is a stand, this doesn't mean that you're going to sit on it. Then for what we use it? So we use it to rest the beaker or the apparatus, whatever we are going to heat. So as you can see in this particular picture, I wanted to heat the content in this particular beaker. So I have put my whole apparatus in the proper arrangement as we discussed, and now we are going to use our tripod stand so that we can rest the beaker and carry out the whole heating process. So the exact use is to support the apparatus above the Bunsen burner. Next is wire gauze, or we just call it as what? Gauze. So as you can see in this particular picture, this metal mesh kind of thing is called as gauze. Okay, so it consists of three main important parts. First one is this metal mesh, okay, or we also call it as wire netting. So, and this second part is nothing but the ceramic center, or we call this as what? Asbestos center. Now the next one, this border, as you can see, it is little more thicker than that of the central metal mesh. This is called as a metal frame. Let us understand the usage of these individual parts in depth. So this first one, metal mesh, it allows us to pass the heat through it evenly. So suppose if I'm keeping my beaker, I want it to get heated evenly all over the base. Because if I'm using this wire gauze, its metal mesh is going to heat slowly and steadily in all directions equally. So it will provide the evenly spread heat to the beaker. Now the next is the ceramic center. This ceramic center is nothing but the gray ceramic, okay, which protects the glassware from the damage through the direct contact of the heat. So this ceramic, as I told you, it can withstand with a high temperature. So if you're talking about the ceramic is nothing but the hard heat resistant material which is made by heating clay. So it is so strong that it can withstand with a higher temperature. Hence, it will keep our apparatus safe when we are heating for long hours. Now, the next one is the metal frame. Metal frame consists of the thick wire than that of the metal mesh. Since it is thick, it prevents or holds the whole net structure together. And that's why we will be able to end up with an exact and accurate wire gauze. In exam, you're going to draw it like this. This is also a 2D representation of this particular wire gauze. Isn't it easy to draw than that of the other apparatus? Yes. Now, nextly, we are going to talk about the uses. Where exactly to use this particular wire gauze? So first use is this wire gauze helps us in spreading the heat evenly throughout the surface. Because suppose if you are continuously heating at only one point, the beaker or the apparatus will break because the other parts are colder than that of that particular part. So which will break the apparatus. So it is necessary to use something which spreads out the heat evenly so that the apparatus can withstand with the temperature. So we use what? This wire gauze which spreads the heat evenly. Next one is this particular function, that suppose if this evaporating dish is smaller than that of this particular tripod stand. So what happens? It may fall. So we can use this wire gauze. So what will it do? It will do two functions. Firstly, it will spread the heat evenly. Secondly, it will support the apparatus over the Bunsen burner. I hope you have understood the two functions of wire gauze. Now the next apparatus is pipette. As you can see in the picture, this is how an actual pipette looks like. Now this particular glass like thing is called as the pipette and this is called as a bulb. Now this bulb helps us in sucking the solution inside it, because if you're going to use your own mouth to suck the liquid or the solution, sometimes if the solution is consisting of some hazard solutions, it might harm you. So it's better to use a bulb which helps you in sucking the solution inside the pipette. This long cylindrical body is called as a main tube. As you can see over it, there are markings. So we call it as what graduated pipette. And these markings are called as what graduations. So with this, I will be able to understand the exact volume of the liquid that I'm going to suck out inside this particular pipette. And this tip is called as what delivery tube or the tip through which later we will transfer the liquid into the desired container. Hope you have understood all three parts of this particular pipette. Now, nextly, remember in exam you're going to draw it in this way, okay? And make sure to label it exactly below the diagram. Now here is how you're going to use your pipette. So as you can see, firstly you're going to insert the pipette inside the container through which you wanted to take out the liquid, exact amount of liquid. You're going to press the bulb. The bulb will cause the solution to enter inside it and slowly release the bulb. So what will happen? The solution will remain inside the pipette. Now you're going to take it to the another container where you wanted to transfer it, and slowly you're going to release it. Now make sure that whenever you're transferring the liquid using a pipette, do not touch it to the inner surface of that particular container, because that is the incorrect way. What is the correct way? Correct way is to put it exactly in the center and slowly release the bulb. That will allow this particular liquid to come out easily into the desired container. So the conclusion is pipette is used to transfer the liquids or solution from one container to another. Hope you have understood it really well. Now, next we are going to talk about syringe. So, syringe is this apparatus, as you can see in the image. It consists of these five different parts. First one is the plunger or the piston. Through this, we either push it inside or suck it inside so that we can create that particular pressure with which the liquid enters inside it. And um, elevation of this particular plastic outside over here and here, it is called as a finger flange. Now this finger flange is nothing but the resting for our fingers, so we can easily rest our fingers over here and hold this particular syringe properly in our hand. Now this particular cylindrical body is called as a barrel. Now this barrel consists of the marks over here. Now the markings over here are provided for the graduation, so that you are aware of the exact amount of the volume that you're sucking inside in. Now you can see over here this rubber kind of thing inside is called as a rubber stopper. It helps us to avoid the leakage of the liquid. Now the next is this, the very thin opening of which allows us to suck the liquid or enter the liquid through the syringe and also pass out the liquid through the syringe. This is called as the nozzle or the tip. In exam you're going to draw it in this way. Make sure to label it exactly below the diagram. Now let us understand how to use a syringe. So suppose if here I have a syringe and I wanted to transfer the liquid. Firstly, I'm going to suck the solution inside it. So in order to suck it, what I will do, I will put the nozzle inside the container and I will stretch the plunger out. With that, the liquid will actually suck out inside the syringe. And once I am done, I'm going to hold it like that. I'm going to remove the nozzle and I'm going to take it to the container where I wanted it to transfer. So in that particular container, again, I will put the nozzle and again I will press it so that the liquid, I will press the plunger so that the liquid comes out of the nozzle. So this is how actually you're going to collect the liquid and transfer the liquid from one container to another using a syringe. Now the main uses are as I discussed, transfer liquids or solutions from one container to another. And second one is to measure the volume of the solution. Since it has graduation marks, it can measure the volume of the liquid. Now there is a question for you. I hope you might have got this question when we were discussing about the pipette and the syringe. The question is, what do you think between a syringe and a pipette? Which one can measure the exact volume of liquid more accurately and why? Why this question arose in your mind? The reason behind is because both the apparatus we use for transferring liquid and for measuring, so we should know which one is the more accurate one and which one we should use frequently. So the answer is both are calibrated, okay, but in case of pipette it is more calibrated and precise than that of the syringe. In case of pipette, what happens, there are no bubble formation since we are using a bulb. So bulb is providing an equal amount of suction of the liquid and not rush of the liquid directly inside that particular pipette, due to which there is no formation of bubbles inside the pipette. And if there are no bubbles, this means whatever is the reading I'm reading over that particular pipette is the accurate. But suppose if there are bubbles, this means that particular space is not occupied by the liquid. So I will end up with the incorrect reading. And this particular error is avoided in pipetting by the use of bulb. Whereas in case of syringe, we do not have any bulb, we use a plunger. So when we use a plunger, it quickly sucks the amount of the liquid, and when the liquid rushes inside that particular cylindrical tube, what happens, there are formation of bubbles, which results in the incorrect reading using a syringe. So the conclusion is that in case of pipette there is precision. It takes a bit of time, but yes, there is precision because it avoids formation of bubbles. Whereas in case of syringe, there is speed, we get the quick liquid entry inside the cylinder, but yes, there are bubble formations due to this, and we will end up with an incorrect reading. So I hope you have understood which one will give you the exact values or the reading of the liquids. And I know now you have understood which one to use when you're supposed to carry out precise experimentations. The next apparatus is spatula. This is how a spatula looks like. It consists of three different parts. First one, this flat part is called as a flat end or blade end. We use it for scraping the solid from any of the container. Now this one, this long thing is called as the shaft or the handle. Using this, we will be able to hold it properly in our hand. Okay, so usage become easier. And this one is called as the spoon end or the concave end. Why concave? Because it is a depression. As I told you in my previous sessions, that whenever you're having a cave-like structure, as you see in cave-like structure, you have depression. So from that word only you remember, whenever there is concave, this means there is going to be a depression. So since I have this depression over here, I can call it as what? Concave end. I hope you have understood it. Now, this flat end is used for what? Scraping, spreading the chemicals on the surface or in any containers. Now, this spoon end helps us to scoop or transfer the small amount of solids or chemicals or powders from one container to another. And this particular spatula is supposed to be drawn in this way in exam. Make sure to label the diagram. Now the next is usage. As I told you earlier also in the explanation, that spatula is used to transfer the solid from one container to another. Now the next apparatus is tongs and test tube holders. This is how actually a tongs and test tube holders look like. It consists of three different parts. First one is called as the spring section or joint. Second one is called as the handle or grip end. Third one is called as the jaw or clamping end. Now let us understand these parts very well. So when I'm talking about handle or grip end, as you can see, it provides the grip for our fingers and thumb. So that's why it is termed as, this section is termed as handle or grip end. As in the picture, you can see this person is holding this particular tongs and test tube holders over here, because this section provides the strong grip. Now the next one is jaw or clamping end. As you can see, these clamping ends helps us to hold the apparatus properly in place. Now the next one is the diagram. So this is how you're going to draw it in exam. Okay. Make sure to label the diagram exactly below. Now let's understand the usage. So test tube holder helps us to hold the apparatus. The name itself tells us what does it do. So it helps us to hold the apparatus properly in place. Nextly, if suppose you're heating any of the apparatus or consisting of some solution or solid, you can also use this test tube holder. How it helps, because when you're heating it, your hand might get burned if you're directly heating it. If you're using this tongs and test tube holder, it will keep your hands safe from the heat. Hope you have understood the usage. Now here I have put these two questions. So this is the first one. In next slide there is the second one. If you have understood all the apparatus really well, you will be able to answer this question properly. I'll be really happy to help you out in the comment section when you're answering it. If you have any query, any doubt, do mention it in the comment section. This is the another question that I want to try it by yourself. uh, Here we end up with this particular apparatus session, and I hope you have understood all the apparatus really well. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, share and subscribe to my channel. If you want me to teach any other topic, do mention it in the comment section. I'll be really helped to make a video on that. See you in the next session.